Welcome back to a special edition of the ARCA Zoomcast. Of course, I'm Casey Campbell, and welcome back, ARCA Menards Series PR Director Charlie Krall. It has been a while since Charlie has been on, but we figured we'd get him on today because ARCA just dropped some pretty big news. Their schedule is out, and there's not much change to it, which is a good thing. First off, Charlie, how are you?
I'm doing great, Casey. It's a big day. Schedule release day is always one of the more fun days of the year for us, and we're excited to get all the feedback from everybody. And I've been telling everybody for 6-8 weeks there's not going to be a lot of changes between this schedule and last year's, but it's always good to get that out there. Get our teams in planning mode for their seasons next year, and we're off and running. 2023 starts today. Yep.
Of course, for those of you, you can also check ARCAMenardsSeries.com for the complete schedule. Of course, starting off
ARCARacing.com.
ARCARacing.com. Yes.
Right.
Charlie. Okay, so of course the season starts as it always starts in Daytona on February 18th. Then March 10th we head to Phoenix. April 22nd we go to Talladega. Kansas on May 6th. Charlotte on May 26th, June 17th at Berlin. Of course, that's the NASCAR off weekend. June 24th at Elko, July 7th at Mid-Ohio, July 15th, they'll be at Iowa, July 21st at Pocono, August 4th at Michigan, August 11th at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, or IRP, August 18th at Watkins Glen, August 20th will be Springfield, August 27th, the Milwaukee Mile. That, of course, will be shared with the Truck Series. September 3rd at DuQuoin. September 8th at Kansas. September 14th at Bristol. September 30th at Salem. And October 7th to finish off the season at Toledo, which makes me very happy. That Toledo.
Makes me very happy. Yeah. We had so much great success last year, Casey. I'm gonna pinpoint a couple of those races and shout out the folks down at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. That was such a phenomenal event, and we're looking forward to carrying that momentum on here in 2023. And of course the race that we put on here at Toledo Speedway Championship Weekend. What a great way to end the season. We had a phenomenal race.
Yes.
In 22. So. We're really looking forward to carrying that momentum on and adding some things to that weekend going forward. Obviously, nowhere near ready to announce, some of those other things that we'd like to add to that weekend, but we're already hard at work at it. And we really do want to make that a big, as big of a deal as we can to celebrate our championship in Toledo. So, stay tuned on that. I'm really looking forward to Milwaukee, to have the trucks back in Milwaukee after, what's it been, 12 years or something like that. So that's going to be a great event. It's same day doubleheader with the trucks at Bristol too. So there's a lot of really just excellent venues on our schedule, 19 different racetracks. A lot of them have a lot of history, 60 races at Daytona. That's just fantastic. So we're ready to get rolling. I'm ready for a couple of weeks off, and we'll be ready to get back at it here shortly.
Yeah, of course. Let's go back to that championship race for a minute at Toledo. Of course, it being back for the first time since 2011, and just the amount of promotion that you guys did at the Southview High School event, from talking with Christian Rose and Greg Van Elst and all those guys and a lot of people after. That was just a star-studded event. And then the gathering at the hotel at the Hilton. Those were probably, leading up to those races, those are probably two big successes, especially at Southview High School.
Yeah, man. We always want to engage that younger generation. That's where we build tomorrow's race fans are that age group. And, of course, there's a little bit of a selfish element there. That's where my kids go to school. And, but knowing that they have an engineering, intro to engineering and metal shop program there, it's exactly what we reach out for. So to be able to do that and to see just the look of excitement on the face of all of those students when you bring out not just a car, but a real life race car, and have a couple of drivers there. It was really, really cool. And of course that media event downtown was just fantastic, and we really do hope that is the start of a long-term relationship with that hotel property in downtown Toledo. We had a lot of help. Our friends at Destination Toledo here, with the Tourism Bureau, basically here in Toledo, really did put a lot of effort into that entire weekend, and making that introduction to that hotel property was probably the cornerstone of that whole event. So yeah, we're ready to get back at it, Casey, and I think that was a great way to have that championship race back here in Toledo, but it's just like the foundational step. I think we're going to do even better next year.
Absolutely, and I can't even wait for it. And it's only been a few weeks since I've been there.
Hey, only 11 months away, right?
Absolutely. Let's talk about. I know there was also. I know this was reported by a couple outlets, but Salem was a question of whether or not it would be returning to the schedule. Why Salem on the schedule this year?
Well, I think a lot of people assumed that Salem was a question mark to be on the schedule. It wasn't ever really a question mark in our mind. It is the longest running venue that we go to. It will be race 109, dating back to, I believe, 1956. So ARCA was only in its fourth season when we ran there for the very first time. So it should be no surprise that venue is back on the race on our schedule. That is a Track Enterprises event. Track Enterprises comes in and leases the racetrack from Bill Knisely. Bill's a great young promoter. He's got a lot of great ideas down there. Has made some changes at Salem Speedway. That said, I think everybody who has been there knows that it does. There's some things that do need to be, kind of upgraded just to get that place where we all would like to see it. For the 2020s, I should say, is a good way to put it. We struggle with internet access there, and sadly the racing surface down in turns 1 and 2 is pretty rough, and those are just the things that we hear from our race teams and the fans who are there who would like to stay connected. But that said, it is a fantastic racetrack. There isn't anybody who ever would like to see that venue off of our schedule. It is a cornerstone event. I don't think we were ever to the point where the discussions were very serious that we wouldn't go back. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting back down there. I think having that fall classic race down there, that end of the season, putting the kind of period on it, it's perfect timing. That is a great place to be that time of year. And yeah, having it in our 3-race short track run to the championship, I can't think of a better time of the year to be down at Salem Speedway.
Yeah, for sure. Berlin is also back on the schedule. This will be during the when the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series are all off that weekend.
Oh, great! So they can all come and race with us, huh?
I think one driver that drives in the Truck Series could good.
You never know. You never know.
I think he's got a good shot at it if he does.
Yeah, you never know.
To go to Berlin, that'd be a big place. And I'm seeing Jeff Striegel tweets, and he's been very busy with improvements to that place.
Yeah, they've had a lot of work to do here the last couple of weeks, and seeing what they're doing down there and some of the big time changes. It's great to see, and they've been great partners. I can only think of maybe a year or two that we haven't gone there since I've been working in the ARCA Menards series, and that's 10 years now. So regardless of who the promoter is, Berlin Raceway has been a valuable partner of ours, and now working with Jeff, it's just been even stronger. He's such a believer in what we do, and he is really putting some muscle into that racetrack, and it's great to see.
course, other notes, Michigan is back to a Friday race, of course. And I know you mentioned this when you did the interview with Mark Crystal from Front Stretch. You kind of mentioned about changing back because it was a Saturday. It was just, and from being there, it was just, there was a lot going on that day.
Yes, and I think that's what we all run into is, we all want to give the race fan, the absolute most for that ticket. Yeah. And having I'm just going to call it a full program for the ARCA Menards series, practice, qualifying, in the race. And then, you've got the same for the Xfinity series, and then you've got to work in practice and qualifying for Cup, and you run out of daylight. You just do. It's just how it is. There are no lights at Michigan International Speedway, and even though those are long days, you're in the middle of the summer, and those are some of the longest days you're going to have. There's just not enough daylight to get everything done there, and we considered the pros and the cons of both days, but we really do consider ourselves to be guests when we come to a place like Michigan International Speedway, and we're there at their convenience, and they express the preference for us to race on Friday, so we race on Friday.
Yep. And of course Iowa is also a month back in the schedule. Really, I think that's really the only change to the schedule, is that the Iowa race is a month back.
Yeah, and I think that's really just to help accommodate the facility there. It's they only have the 2 race weekends, ARCA and IndyCar, and I believe that's just to consolidate some of the operations there and make it a little smoother with those 2 weekends. I believe they're on back-to-back weekends. So yeah, and again, going to Iowa, we always have a tremendous advanced ticket sale out there. We have had horrible race day weather the last 2 years. Yes. Maybe this change on the schedule will relieve some of those weather concerns.
Yeah, for sure. Also, might get this from my good buddy Mitchell Brewer. How about Elko being back on the schedule again?
Yeah. So again, I mean, that's one of those races that was relatively new on our schedule. I think we first went there in 2012, but it really has become one of those racetracks that it's a yearly thing at this point. I think we took 1 year off back in the early part of that run, and then of course the pandemic year. But going up to Elko is fantastic. It's right down the road from Menards World Headquarters there in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and a lot of our vendor partners that we do business with have offices up in the Minneapolis region, and it's just a great part of the country to be in, and there's a lot of great race fans up there, and it doesn't hurt that it's the tiniest little bull ring that we go to, and those races are just absolute slam bang, fender to fender door bangers all day long. So that really helps.
Yeah, and of course it's right near downtown Minneapolis, so
it's close enough. Yeah, I mean we're right there in the Twin Cities area, and it's a lot of people up there, Casey, and that is just it's a top-notch facility too.
Yeah, another one is Mid Ohio. Of course, I want to mention the Menards. At a couple of the races this year I was able to go to. There was also the Menards Fan Fest where drivers were able to come out. We had a couple at Mid Ohio, and even had Ty Majeski from the Truck Series come. But the turnout at the Fan Fest at Toledo, that was just I think that was above your expectations as well. And I know is that the plan going forward at a lot of these races next year to have that?
Well, we'd like to do them in targeted areas where we can make an impact. That we're not going to do it just to do it. Okay, and if we're going to ask the Menards store to put the time and effort and manpower into doing it, we want to make sure that we're going to get drivers to show up. We're going to want to make sure that we've got fans that are going to show up. We want to there's a lot that goes into it, Casey. And yeah, I think it's a safe bet to say that we will um, uh, do a couple few of those here in 2023. I really would like to work very closely with our friends at ThorSport. It doesn't hurt that a couple of their drivers came through the ARCA Menard series. I think we've got a former champion that races on that team too.
Yep.
So, um, and I've got a pretty good relationship. A lot of people don't realize this, Casey, but I started my NASCAR / ARCA career working at ThorSport back in way back in the 1900s. So I maintain a pretty good relationship with those folks over the years, and it would be great to have Ty Majeski or Christian Eckes or Matt Crafton or somebody like that come and join us at some of those races where we do run in conjunction with the truck series. We'll work hard to see if we can make that happen, but even if we can't, I think it's a safe bet to say, we'll do 2, 3, 4 of those throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about, with going back to Mid Ohio and really just that area, wanted to hit on this as well. That area is full of race fans, and from me being down there and me being and seeing that, it was just then to get the mayors and all the things that you did down there. What about that area just excites you about racing?
Well, again, talking about the early days of my career, I had the good fortune to work at Mansfield Motorsports Park back in the early 2000s when the truck series was racing there, from 2004 to 2008, and made a lot of really good contacts down there. Fortunately for me, some of those folks are still working for the tourism department down there in Mansfield, and Mansfield's just one town over, and I know that they are, anytime you can bring a national level event into their backyard, they're happy. They're ecstatic. You're pointing the spotlight on Mansfield and Lexington, Ohio. These two towns that are, as I like to joke, back in the early 2000s, they're equally inconvenient from every big city in Ohio. You're an hour away from Columbus, you're 2 hours from Toledo, 90 minutes from Cleveland. You're in the middle of everything, but you're not close to anything. And to be able to point that spotlight nationally, it energizes local governments, it energizes local businesses, and that's really what we want to do. We want to be good partners. We want to be a net positive for whatever community that we go and race in, and to have that support from the mayors of Lexington and Ontario and Mansfield and police departments and fire departments and tourism bureaus, and it lets us know that we're doing something right, and to have the hundreds of people that we have had come out to that was just fantastic. And it makes it all worthwhile. And obviously our friends at Menards are hoping that those people go inside and buy some race tickets and buy some Hearst chips and some Calypso lemonade and some Sprecher root beer and some Reese's peanut butter cups and maybe look into a water heater or something like that. But that's what it's all about. It's driving traffic to those stores and selling race tickets and selling product and just getting people energized and giving them a good time.
Yeah. Okay, so let's there's obviously more to come with some announcements. The East and West schedules have not been released yet. Any timetable on that?
It's probably going to be next week sometime, Case. We're finishing up a couple of sanction agreements out west. Maybe 1 or 2 on the east side of things that we got some details to iron out. But I think I'm going to say 94% ready to go on both of them.
Do we have is there a good response from car count from the East and West series that you guys?
I think West we're pretty happy. I think East we're starting to get the feel like there's some energy there. I think what we have seen is some of the younger drivers that want to come out and race for a championship. I think they're going to be targeting that East Series if they're here on the eastern side of the country. And I think we're seeing some energy on that side of things. I don't have hard numbers as far as car count is concerned, but we have had a lot of phone calls, Casey, and there's a lot of interest there. I actually had one today, as a matter of fact, from it was an easily recognizable name. I'm not going to spoil anybody's announcements, but it was a recognizable name, and to hear that they're contemplating coming and racing on that East platform is, to me, is a very good sign. So yeah, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to, I think you might see, and if you paid attention to our schedule announcement today, hey, we're going to add Indianapolis Raceway Park to the East schedule in a combination race with the ARCA Menards series. So, we're gonna slowly get that back up. The number of races, we're gonna get that back up. But again, we want to take it slow. We want to do it right. We don't want to just add 4 or 5 races to that schedule and not have any cars. We want to kind of build them both back up, in conjunction with one another. So it's coming along. It's not as fast as we would like it. It's not as fast as you all would like it, but it is. It's going to be a slow and very deliberate pace as far as how we continue to add venues and add dates to that East schedule, just in hopes that we don't overload those teams, and we want to give them a good solid jumping off point for those young drivers to come and race in this platform.
Should we expect any changes to those 2 schedules?
No comment.
Okay. Talk about and I know also start times and TV networks obviously still have to
yeah, we always like to get those dates out, the dates and the venues out first, and then we like to come back somewhere down the road with television details. What I do know is that the standalone East and West races, not the combination races with the ARCA Menards series, but the standalone East and West races, just like they were this year, will be back on Flow Racing. And then we're working on television details and broadcast, networks broadcast times for the ARCA Menards series as we speak.
Will both FS1 and MAV TV be back?
That's way beyond my pay grade, Casey.
I figured I'd ask.
I don't know. I don't know. Beyond my pay grade, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I'm just happy to be able to talk to you about this type of stuff, Casey.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I don't know that there are any changes to our television partner lineup at this point, but yeah, beyond my pay grade.
All right. Also, and just to wrap up, I know we're talking about 2023, but all 3 champions have been crowned. We got Sammy Smith in the East, Jake Drew in the West, and then of course Nick Sanchez in the main. But I also want to get your thoughts on. I know that you made this announcement during the West broadcast that Bob Brancotti is retiring from.
Yeah, and Bob is such a great integral part of that West series, and he's such a terrific character. I am really happy that he's not leaving racing altogether. He's going to be involved with some a new series there at Irwindale Speedway, one that I think will be kind of a feeder series to the West series out there. So that's fantastic. He is just a great guy, and he won a championship in his first season in the West, and he won a championship in his last. So I just think that's very fitting. Before I let you go, Casey, I do want to give a shout out to Sammy Smith and just what a fantastic year he had. 21 races, 10 wins all across the platform. And yeah, he didn't get to run for a championship because of his age. But those numbers are very Ty Gibbs-esque.
Yeah.
Ty ran 22 races in 2021 and he won 12 of them. And his replacement in that 18 car, I think he did everything he could possibly do. He absolutely did everything he could to fill Ty's seat and his shoes and made a name of his own. He did. He had a fantastic season. His average finish over the course of the year in the ARCA Menards series, 16 races, his average finish was 2.9. And that's just unbelievable. It really, really is. So, you know, we have been very fortunate to have a lot of really talented young kids come through here. You know, Ty is one of them, and of course I would be remiss if I didn't, you know, offer our condolences to the Gibbs family and Ty. And you know, Coy was just a great man. You know, he really was. He was a guy that, you know, always, you know, he would tell you, and I love that story that I think it was Jeff Gluck who had told it, and it wasn't Jeff, it might have been Bob, but he said, look, I can't answer that question because if I answer it, I'm going to have to lie to you, and I don't want to lie to you. And that's just the kind of guy that Coy was. He was straight up, and he, you know, it's sometimes it's hard, Casey, believe it or not, it's hard in this business to tell the truth. And you know, you guys ask the questions, and we don't always want to give you the answer when you're asking it.
Yeah.
And you know, Coy would at least tell you, hey, I just can't, I'd have to lie to you, and I don't want to lie to you. So I did. I always respected him. I spent a lot of time with him back in our truck series days, you know, back in 2002, 2003, and just very sad news. And Ty, you know, as we have seen, is a young man that, you know, he's just like I was when I was 19, just like you were. You know, we make mistakes, and we need guidance from our parents. And you know, it hurts my heart to think that young man's not going to have his dad, you know, to guide him. But it does also very much warm my heart to know that, you know, at least on his last day, Ty was able to celebrate with his son. And you know, they did. They had a lot of great accomplishments in the Xfinity series. They dominated here in the ARCA Menards series. And you know, as you can tell, I think about these things and it makes me smile. But it's very sad. And all of us are thinking about the Gibbs family right now. But yeah, just that team has really just been on it the last couple of years, and I think Ty has done a great job, you know, carrying our banner, and I think Sam and Smith will as well.
And of course, extend condolences out to the Gibbs family as well. All right, well, Charlie Krall, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the main ARCA schedule. We'll be back on. He'll be back on next week when the East and West schedules get.
Oh, I have to come back on next week, huh?
Yes, you do have to come back on.
All right. Well, we'll make a date out of it.
Sounds good.